Hey.
Do you mind if we hang out here for a little while? The East Wing is packed for the reception.
Hang out all you want. In fact, you can do me a favor. Keep an eye on Mr. Q. I'm getting a little worried about him. He hasn't complained or sniped about one thing since he found out about Justus.
Anybody seen Edward?
Harris.
Can you do me a favor and be kind of gentle with him? He's had a really hard day. He's not feeling too good.
Sure.
Thanks.
That was a nice save by Alan, taking over the eulogy for you. Justus was a complicated man, but he was strong. Whatever choices he made, good or bad, he always carried the responsibility of them himself. I admired him for that.
My grandson wouldn't have stayed in Port Charles if it weren't for you.
Justus came back to Port Charles for his father's funeral, which never would have happened if Laura and I hadn't found Bradley Ward buried in our garden.
Well, then I guess I owe you my thanks. If it hadn't been for you and Laura, I suppose that Justus would have stayed in Philadelphia, and I never would have had the privilege of getting to know my grandson. For whatever good it did, Justus.
Edward, it sounds like you're revving up here to blame yourself for something. Don't do that. Justus was a grown man, and his choices, good or bad, were something that he made and he carried the responsibility for.
I keep waiting for one of the wards to accuse me for failing him. But they're all too polite.
Maybe they all realize there's nothing to blame you for.
My ties to the Ward family are all gone now. Saying goodbye to Justus today was like saying a last goodbye to his grandmother, Mary Mae, and to our son, Bradley, whom I never had the privilege to embrace.
Daddy?
Oh, I suppose I should go in and host that reception. It's the last thing I can do to honor Justus.
Well, you're the only one who's gotten him to talk today.
I didn't do anything.
You listened, Luke. He needed to talk to someone who remembered how Mary Mae came back into his life, and you were there, so thank you.
Isn't this the part where you lecture me about my social obligations and drag me back inside so I can make small talk with a bunch of people I could care less about?
Actually, I'd rather hide out with you. I didn't know Justus. My fault. I didn't want to know him. I didn't want another rival for my father's attentions.
Very honest of you to admit that.
That, my friend, is one of the perks of being married to you. I can admit my faults, and you are in no position to criticize.
Isn't that the truth? I don't know. Funerals always bring up so much stuff for everybody. Especially this one, it seemed. It was a lifetime ago that Laura and I came back to this town. Like he was just a kid when she found that house on Charles Street, fell in love with it. She also fell in love with its former owner, Mary Mae.
Apparently my father did as well. I don't know why my mother didn't divorce him for that.
Lila was an amazing woman. Not unlike you. Mary Mae became an inspiration for Laura about the way she wanted to live. So we did. We lived the way she wanted to. Lived in that house, had dinners around the dining room table, had friends over. I decorated Christmas trees.
Ooh, I can't picture you doing that.
Neither can I, but I did. We did the whole suburban routine. It was made palatable for me by a few old murders, unsolved, that we stumbled into, but basically we lived the way Laura wanted. She loved that, you know. She was a nester. She loved her home, her family, her friends and neighbors. She wanted to nothing more than to just stay here, but not me. I needed to travel. I needed to be out there. I tried. I really tried to make it work. Because I loved her. But it was a lie. I'm sorry.
Sorry for what?
For bearing my so-called soul. I know it's a bore.
On the contrary. It's intriguing to find out about the man I married. It must have been quite a challenge to go from running to standing still.
Well, it was high time that I got Frank Smith off our backs. The challenge was the other part. The house, the kids, the domestic thing. I only did that because that's what my wife wanted. And I kept pretty busy, you know, diverting myself from the truth. The truth was I hated it.
But you tried.
But I failed.
Look, you sacrificed for love. Will you give yourself some credit?
Are you giving me a pep talk, wife?
Don't get used to it. I'm actually just trying to prevent you from drowning your sorrows in Daddy's best whiskey and mooning our funeral guests.
No, I'm going to leave that to you, my sweet. I have something uncomfortable that I have to do.
Where have you been?
Monica wanted me to go check on Lainey.
I feel so bad for her. She really cared about Justus.
I know. You know, it's funny. I haven't even really registered yet that he's gone. It's so random.
Random, it's not like he was doing a desk job, Dillon. He was working for Sonny and Jason. He put his life at risk every day. I mean, he was a constant target.
Georgie, he was doing legal work.
Yeah. He still got murdered.
Why are you acting like this is Justus's fault?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that this is the price you eventually pay when you hang out with people who think danger is exciting.
You making this about me now, Georgie? Is that what you're doing?
Dillon, I'm just making an observation. I mean,
All right. Okay. If you're going to pick today of all days to start lecturing me on how to stay away from a score or a scheme or anything like that, then you got
Dillon, wait a minute. You don't need to bite my head off for this.
I'm going to go to the reception, and I'm going to say my goodbyes, and you can feel free to join me at any time.